Hey guys, what's up? This is my voice 16, and today I am doing a special review on a new power chair that I recently acquired. Well, it's not new, but it's new to me. So, I got this for 175 bucks from Facebook Marketplace, and for 175 bucks, I got quite a lot. It is in excellent shape. A lot of people are trying to sell these for 500 bucks, 600 bucks, and they're all messed up. The wheels are all dry rotted. They're all yellowed. I mean, this one has a little bit of yellowing, but not bad. The wheels are all yellowed. The armrests are torn up. The seat's torn up or nasty. The controller's all beat up. But this one's in excellent shape. So, those of you who are my subscribers or have seen my one other video that I've made, I had another power chair. And the reason I don't have that one anymore is because my house sitter at the time kept asking me to sell it to her because she had a friend who needed one. And I finally said, fine, I'll sell it to you. And I sold it to her for $200. And I kind of regretted selling it to her because I absolutely loved that power chair. Absolutely loved it. And it was the Pronto M51. Wasn't it? Yeah, I think it was the Pronto M51. No, M56. That's what it was. M56. Pronto M56. So, that's what my other chair was. I absolutely loved that chair. And I regretted giving it away or selling it to her because I absolutely missed having it because it was so much fun and so easy to drive and all that stuff. So I finally found one on Facebook Marketplace for a really reasonable price, and it is in excellent shape. So I'm going to do a review of it. So this is the Pronto M41, which is they pretty much call it the little brother to the M56 because it uses the very similar mid-wheel drive system as that one does. Very similar. So the reason that the reason it's similar is because of that, but that's really where the similarities really end. The seat on this one is different than the one I had, because the M56 that I had, the seat was kind of like, it was stationary, and the way you would take it off is there's a latch underneath, and it would open up like an engine or like a car hood. So that's how you'd get to your batteries and get to your controller and all that stuff. With that one, this one has a swivel seat on it's on a post, and you can see there. This one, you have to undo this Allen bolt in order to be able to get the seat off, which is kind of a pain. And I'm not really a big fan of that because it is hard to do that. So this one's not exactly the easiest one to take apart. And another thing that's different about this one as opposed to some of the other ones is that this one uses the all-in-one controller. So absolutely everything for your control is in the joystick module here. So normally these things only have about, right where this little lip is right here, that's about how much normally you would only have. But you have all this extra because that's where all the control modules or the controller circuitry is. So they run the power from the batteries up to here and then run the power to the motors back down. So you do have a bit of voltage drop, I would imagine, but not a whole lot. But it's still interesting. The one thing I do love about this, though, having this controller, is that this scooter, if needed, could be completely submerged up to about right there. It could be completely submerged and it would still operate. It would destroy your motors because you'd be getting water and crap inside of your motors, but it would be able to handle going through water and getting really dirty and all that stuff, and it wouldn't affect the controls because the controls are up here, up in that module there. So Another thing that's different about this as opposed to the M56 is that the M56 is a split frame where that scooter can be disassembled into like 5 pieces, where this one is a unibody. So this whole rear frame, apart from the front casters, is all one piece, and it's a very solid frame. This has the sure step technology, but they don't call it that on this. I don't know why they don't advertise it on this scooter, or this power chair, but it has that active track, or not the active track, the sure step, where the wheels do lift up in the front whenever you go over a step. They don't lift as high as the wheels on the M56, but the M56 is bigger than this. It's a good bit bigger than this one is. But you can see that you have your pivot point here, and there's only one mounting point for the motors and wheel assembly, but it's a very solid mounting point. So these don't wobble around a lot. It doesn't feel really cheap or anything, even though it only has that one mounting bolt right there for the motor assembly. You can see the beefy spring back there for the suspension. This chair, let's see, what's another thing? This chair shares the same caster wheels as the M56, and it uses the same same caster wheels, but the arms are a little bit different because they're a little bit elongated on this one. I remember on the M56 that if you took a sharp enough turn, they would actually hit your foot plate. On this one, it doesn't do that because they widened the front up a little bit, so that way it wouldn't hit. It wouldn't hit back there, or it wouldn't hit the foot plate, which wasn't that big of an issue with the M56, but I'm glad that they fixed it on this one. And this is made. Both this chair and the M56 are made by Invicare, a very excellently made brand. So, another thing that's different about this chair is that the body panel on this is, you have to unscrew it to get it off. So this chair is not intended to be taken apart a lot. It's intended to be used on a lift, or it's intended to be used in a small home or something like that, where you want something that's solid, but you're not intending on taking it apart a lot. I mean, you can do it, but it's just a very big pain in the neck to do it. And the way you would have to do, if you were to take this in a vehicle, the way you would have to do that is you'd have to undo this, and this whole rod holding the control assembly would come off, and then you can take the bolt out for the seat, and then the seat would come right up. And then you just had to have the controller with the frame. And of course you wouldn't be able to get the batteries out without taking this plastic thing off, or take the body panel off, which would be a bit of a nuisance. Another difference between this and the M56 is that this has, the motors are horizontal with your wheels. So that means it uses a planetary gear set to be able to get you your gear reduction, whereas the M56 uses worm drive, where the motor is perpendicular to your drive wheels. And the advantage of worm drive is you get a little bit more, you get more torque, and oftentimes they're a lot more quieter. But the reason they did this with this is so that way the back end of the scooter isn't wide like it is on the M56. So this has a bit tighter of a turning radius than the M56, and it's able to, your control levers are right here where it's easy to get to them, or your freewheeling levers. So you can see in there that your motors are literally right next to each other, like literally not even a quarter of an inch in between them. So they use up all the space in there. for your motors. I'm not sure what the power rating on these motors are, but I think it's probably about 500 watts each. Where the M56 had 1200 watts per motor. Was it 1500? Or 1500? I'm not sure. All I know is that the yeah, it was 1500 watts. So that scooter had a total power capability of 3 kilowatts, whereas this is probably only 1 kilowatt of output power. But the scooter is matched. The motors are matched to the controller, so the controller is able to power these motors without having the controller getting too hot. And a nice thing about this that I'd never seen before is that this has thermal throttling. So what that is when the chair gets hot, even though you would have your speed setting all the way up, if the controller gets hot, and it does get pretty warm here, and the reason that and the thing is, it also get probably warm around where your hand is. It hasn't gotten warm to that point with me, but underneath where the heat sink is, where the control MOSFETs, it gets pretty warm down here. But whenever it thermal throttles, even though you have it set to go full speed, it will only go about half of that speed to prevent it from overheating any more than it is. And it'll thermal throttle even more depending on how hot this thing is. So the hotter it gets, or the hotter this gets, the more it'll thermal throttle. But it doesn't thermal throttle until around 106 degrees, I believe, of the heatsink temperature. So it's very safe. So this controller will last a good long while because it does that. A lot of them will get really hot, and the motors will get really hot. But we're going to go on a drive, and I'll show you how well this thing runs. So it is a bit noisier with that planetary gear set drivetrain, but it runs great. I absolutely love this thing. So I'm going to open up here. So we're going about a little bit more than half speed right now. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Back up a little bit here. There we go. We'll be going full speed. And this is absolutely awesome for this small of a chair, that it can go this fast. So it's going about 4 or 5 miles an hour, which is pretty fast. Normally these chairs only go about 3 to 4 miles an hour. So this thing is pretty darn fast. And I normally just drive it at half whenever I'm driving around here because it's kind of hard to navigate when you're going that full speed. But you can see that this thing is, this one was programmed literally perfectly. Your turning speed is good, and your response is good. Like, when you tell it to go, it will go. And it has good power, it has good acceleration, it has good torque. So everything's matched very well on this scooter. The only problem with my controller is that the boot here it was dry rotted and ripped off, but I'm gonna go ahead and order another one and put a new one on there. It wouldn't cost much to do that. Just need to get a new boot. And then this thing will be good as new. I'm probably gonna put on a new joystick thing because this comes off way too easily. I don't like the fact that it spins like that. It doesn't feel very secure. But you can see it turns within its own footprint very easily. So you can navigate through a lot of stuff. I'll go ahead and navigate through all this, through all these little components here. So I don't really have to slow down a whole lot to run over my air hose, but I don't care. So you can navigate very easily in somewhat tight spaces, and you can even go through stuff like this, although you have to be very, very capable of ease of throttle control. So, when we back up, so if you can navigate, or if you can control your throttle well, this thing can get pretty much, can go through almost any opening. So, anyways, I wanted to show you guys this and do a review on it, because I am very glad to finally have one again, because those of you who have seen some of my other videos and all that stuff, I've mentioned I am physically disabled in a certain way, because I have cerebral palsy and an artificial hip, so walking is extremely tiring for me. And it used to be it used to be very painful for me to walk, but it's not anymore because I have my hip replaced. But for me, having one of these is very useful, because I can take it with me when we go to amusement parks, or if we go to a family outings or something like that where it's going to be a lot of walking. I can bring this with me and drive it around. Of course, my grandpa is going to be using it up here soon, because my parents are going to be taking this with them to North Carolina for my brother's golf tournament. So they'll be able to. My grandpa will be able to use this. He has one at his house, but it'd be way too big for him to bring with him. Whereas this can be taken apart and put in a car, in a relatively normal-sized car. I mean, it fits in the back of my Ford C-Max, so a very good power chair. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Stay cool, YouTube. Bye.